Okay, today's May 4th, Monday. So I turn on the checking out the news today, and I saw Washington Post article. Mark Lipsitch, and so he had an article that was called "Serology: The New Buzzword for COVID-19," and I guess that Mark is he's a professor at Harvard, and he's basically calling for serology surveillance, expanded serology surveillance post-infection for COVID-19, and CDC rolled out with a program too. So CDC's program is three-tier. They've got geographical large-scale seroprevalence serology testing. Then they've got community-based level, and then they've got like particular group, special group serology testing. It's probably racial. They say it's for like pregnant people, as an example, on CDC website. But anyway, so this just all rolled out pretty recently. CDC was a few days ago, but I think they're starting to roll it out this week. Then you've got a program called HEROES, like HEROS. It's an acronym for. It's going to be testing for. It's a serology test for children in about 2,000 families across the United States, dispersed through the United States. So the serology, they're drawing blood, and then they're looking at the antibodies that may have reaction to exposure to a virus. But all of these serology programs are aimed at populations that wouldn't be in contact from seeking medical testing from facilities. So like anybody that didn't go to the hospital, that's who they're seeking through the seroprevalence serology programs that they're coming out with. Now, Washington Post, if you didn't know, Washington Post is owned by Amazon through Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos' real name is Jeff Jorgensen. Amazon's got a $500 million recurring contract with the CIA for cloud data storage. They've held that since at least like 2013, I think, is when they first got the initial contract. That contract's going back up for bid. I think they're going to be competing with Oracle and IBM and probably a couple other larger companies, so they'll have some competition, even though there's really no competition, but they're opening the bid anyway. So that's so essentially I realized after the live stream, like I drank too much Beam, so it was getting kind of spread out. Yeah, Oracle sued over the contract, I think, the last contract, because of course, I mean, it's all unfair, right? Like anybody that's ever always work backwards from who you're gonna select the contract for. That's how it works. Anyway, in the live stream, like essentially what I'm trying to explain is that the serology testing, like, it's not necessary, right? Like serology doesn't test for the swab when they're taking a like an instant test. Let's say, like, there are instant tests that they are using for COVID-19, where they'll swab your nasal passage or the back of your throat, and they can be instant, and the results can be ascertained on site. Then there's the CLIA certified labs where you have to send it off. Like that's a condition of being CLIA certified, just like being certified in NIMS and ICS. It's like you go under the national authority. Well, that's what CLIA certification is. Like, you automatically have to send in to be in compliance with certification. You have to send in to the CDC, like any of your lab results, right? And so the serology testing is they're benchmarking a map for the effect on the population. That is what's going on. The blood samples, when you send them off, that's just like an opportunity to catch them, right? Because if you send off blood samples and if they're for the purpose of COVID-19, and then you find out that your blood samples are being sold, then that's actually, it's technically illegal. So there's a good chance that that's happening somewhere in the United States, but the mass program is probably more for like mapping the actual. It's not, like people would probably hear this and they would be like, this is complete paranoia. I mean, it shouldn't be astonishing. It shouldn't be like a leap of faith to consider the possibility of this, because it's not. I mean, it's not. It's what's going on. Like this is what is happening. It's just that we are so beaten over the head with propaganda that there's just this veil of deceit where people can't. It's like Stockholm syndrome, and they can't overcome the fear of the reality of like, well, if that's the way it is, then we're fucked. Well, you're not fucked. This is just the way that it is. Like this is what's going on. People need to become aware. We need some people that are in law enforcement and in the medical industry to dig into this and figure out what's going on. So, like none of this is new, right? So if you're not aware of this stuff has been going on for a long time. This one is like a larger scale. This is global. So this is like a global coordinated for the first time. This is like they had to get top-down compliance through all the municipalities since 9/11 to get to this point. Prior to 9/11, they had no impetus to have a reason. The compartmentalized authorities in the Constitution, at least for the United States, they had no reason to make them subordinate. Right? Say like, law is, right? You have to have like a justification. So the war on terror was like the justification to do that. Now they're rolling out the actual execution. This is like initial execution of studying the transmission of a virus. Now in Wuhan, they're also in the news. Another thing that was in the news today is that the executive branch is really making sure that the media understands that they've pinned down the location of the source of the Wu flu. So they're basically saying it's a level 4 and a level 2 security biolaboratories in China and Wuhan province. Well, this is how the media works. Nobody cares. Everybody knows and assumes and accepts that it's from Wuhan. That's not the issue, right? But by them focusing on that and being like, no, it's a Wuhan. It originated in Wuhan, not somewhere else. Nobody's claiming. They don't want to acknowledge the fact that people don't think that it didn't originate in Wuhan. People think that it originated by pinning it in China through the laboratory. So for instance, how a couple of months before this started, the U.S. government did a budget cut that pulled CDC personnel out of Wuhan province. So like they pulled international CDC employees out, like right before the virus. They started doing it over the past 2 years. So it was like, and then it ramped up right before the virus. So they don't want to talk about that. And there's total precedent for all of this stuff. There's like there was an operation in 1950. It was called Operation Sea Spray. So that was a joint naval and army mission under the Department of Defense, and it was in San Francisco Bay Area, 1950. They released from a naval vessel, like a foot. I don't know what the class was, but it was it was like large. It was a naval formation. They released multiple bacteria agents into the San Francisco Bay, and like 800,000 people through using the municipal hospitals, and then they didn't notify the hospitals beforehand. So like none of the hospitals knew, and then they used what they thought were they considered them technically inert bacteria, but they're not inert. They're just they're just dumb. So like they were releasing like the Serratia turns red. It makes like a red color when it collonates on like bread, for instance, on like a grain bread. So they released that into San Francisco, infected 800,000 people. I know it killed one guy. There was a guy that died from a urinary tract infection, and it didn't get declassified until like 1970s. So the guy, the family member of the guy who died attempted to sue the Department of Defense in the early 80s about it, because I think it was his father that died. And so that was Operation Sea Spray. Then, but this isn't, it's not just that. Like, you got to understand, like, the Navy and the Army and the CIA, if you look up, there's like, I think they did a congressional investigation on it. It'd be Department of Defense, biotesting on unknowing human subjects, 1977. I think it's like May 1977. So this is like published, so you can actually see it online because it's declassified now. So they conducted like 230 bacterial releases. They'd usually use like phenol and other substances and mix them in. They released one in New York City subway and infected people with it. And then they had like a huge prevalence of pneumonia, urinary tract infection mostly. So like, this is like a known issue. It's just that the general public doesn't know about it. And so what's going on right now with COVID-19 is that this is like, make no mistake, like this is a global, this is a global pre-run for what's coming, and it's going to be who knows what, I'm not like hooked up with these labs, obviously. I don't know what the fuck they're up to, but there's a really good chance that the way that this culminates is with sterilization of certain populations, because that's like when you look up like ethnic bioweapons, that is the common description. Like when they get into specificity about it, they generally talk about sterilization. So the idea, like the tactical idea, would be that you would use it to release an agent into the population, and then it causes sterility so that a certain population can't reproduce. And so like if you're now in public politics, it's like everybody hold hands across America, but in reality, it's not like that, right? It's a synthetic generated division, really. It's just like disinformation campaign to keep everybody not paying attention. So you could really wreak havoc by doing this, and this is sterilizing the population, a certain population, an enemy population, like once it's available. But you can't do it without pulling data. You can't. So this is absolutely, they're just pulling data. The serology tests are not testing for, they can't detect COVID-19. So they're not testing people to see if they're sick. They're testing people to see how many antibodies they have that are reacting and the way that they're reacting and the differences between demographics and populations. That's what the seroprevalence serology tests from the CDC that they're now rolling out are. So, anybody that doesn't thinks that this is far-fetched, it's not far-fetched. It's what's going on. It's just that it's so scary that nobody wants to blow the whistle on, but this is exactly what's happening. So that's the news for May 4th, Monday, and the follow-up to the live stream. I'm going to do another live stream. I'll try to do it on, we'll try to do it on next Sunday, same time, but I'll follow up with that. I got an email, Twitter account open. It's Doug1337. That's a Twitter account, Doug1337. For email, if anybody wants to email me about something or speak privately, or like if journalists would want to contact me, fat chance, but if you want to contact me for discussion or anything like that, so my email is Dooger, that's Dooger at tudanota.com. Might be .org. I actually can't remember. I just made it like 10 minutes ago. All right. Have a good night.